I get one or two emails from people saying that they greatly enjoy watching the videos on the regulators and the technical aspects, etc., and they'd like to fit a regulator themselves, except it all looks a bit scary and very complicated. Unfortunately, quite a few of the videos are very technical and talk about regulators and greasing and oiling, etc. Fitting one is actually relatively simple, and other people have said, well, my own gun is probably, tuned way beyond what they can do because we've got the facilities to do it. And so this is the main air rifle I tend to use, which is a Brocock Enigma prototype with a stick magazine back from about 2002, 2003 that we made. And this is the gun that I use most of the time, and it's fitted with one of my regulators. And so I'll just run you through quickly what I've done to this rifle, which is very little, and you should be able to accomplish something like this yourself with the facilities that you've got at home. So there's no major alterations to the gun itself. I have drilled down and enlarged the transfer port. Originally it was 2.5mm, and I've enlarged that to 3.2, and also obviously I've drilled the breathe hole in for the regulator. But they're really the only big modifications that have taken place. Oh no, tell a lie. On here, instead of there being a measuring cup or plate like on an air arms, to give me some extra volume, I've just machined out the end of there. But there's no need for you to do that. You could just use a longer valve standoff spacer. So if we have a quick look, if you can see inside the end of the reservoir tube, you can see the front of my regulator, and the standoff I've got is exceptionally small. It's only about 6mm long, and that's because I've machined out this component here to give me some extra air space. But if you're not going to do that, you just fit a longer spacer. Apart from that, the regulator's the same sort of regulator. There's no other major modifications to the rifle at all. It's just been a case of fiddling and tuning, and to get this absolutely perfect for me, the regulator's set at about 95 bar, and with the compression of the outlet valve spring, I've added 3 very small washers. These 3 altogether add up to only 1.4mm thick, so it's not a great big wedge we've put in there. It's just 1.4mm thick of washers, and then that's been counterbalanced on the hammer spring end by this little plastic spacer, which was actually, I think, a part out of a super glue tube, and it's absolutely perfect fit into the hammer and perfect fit over the spring guide. It was just spot on. So that's not even a part that we've manufactured up, it's just a part that we found laying about. And it's the same with the washers. They just are quite nicely made washers, but they're nothing fancy that you couldn't get your hands on yourself. And so we've done that to balance the springs and the hammer, and to stop valve and hammer bounce. And apart from those little things, that gun's as standard. There's no anti-bounce hammer, no fancy new components, no different springs. These are the original springs out of the gun itself, and we've just done the bits that are showed on the hints and tips playlist on this channel for fitting your regulator. Out of this gun I get between about 110 and 117 regulated shots, depending on how accurately I've filled it to, whether it's a hot day, cold day, or a particular batch of pellets. This is tutto, and it's a 30cm long air tube, which is exactly the same as on the Air Arms carbine rifle. And so altogether, with this balancing of the springs, I can get usable shots, because there's a very slow rise and drop off after the regulator stopped working. I can get about 146 usable shots altogether out of that. So I hope that shows you that it's not overly complicated to fit a regulator, although there is quite a bit of time involved, choosing the right packing for the springs, or adjusting the length of the hammer travel, if that's something that you can do on your rifle.